Ava Brooks held her coffee like it was a golden trophy after conquering Everest. She took a deep breath, looked around the bustling office floor, and muttered to herself, "All right, coffee secured. Now all I have to do is get out of here without causing a scene." 3 steps. That's all it took. On the third, destiny tripped her literally. Her heel caught the edge of a slightly raised rug, like it had been waiting there since morning just to sabotage her. Her body lurched forward. The coffee trembled. Her free hand flew out, reaching for something, anything, to stop her fall. It found fabric. A waistband. Specifically, the waistband of someone's suit pants. And in one horrifying second, the button popped, the belt slipped, and the pants hit the floor. Time froze. Ava looked up. Her fingers were still gripping a very expensive pair of slacks, now pulled around the ankles of a man wearing designer black boxer briefs and standing as still as a marble statue. And not just any man. Logan Hayes, the company's elite, the firm's most powerful partner, the man whose name was whispered like a legend, the man who now stood pantless in the middle of the office lounge. "What are you doing?" Logan exploded, jumping back and trying to shield himself with both hands. Gasps filled the room. Someone dropped a cookie. An intern crossed himself. A paralegal whispered, "Oh, dear God." Ava's coffee trembled in her grip. I tripped," she squeaked, her voice climbing octaves like a cartoon character. Logan stared at her, red-faced and furious. "On my pants." "No, on the rug. I didn't mean to grab. I didn't even know they were pants. I thought it was a curtain." "A curtain," Logan barked as he yanked the waistband back up and fought to refasten his belt. She tried to let go, but gravity and panic had other plans. She stumbled forward and almost fell straight into him. "Oh, no, 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 let go," he shouted, hopping backward like a one-legged flamingo. Ava finally released her grip like she'd just touched a hot stove. "I'm sorry. I swear I'm not crazy. Just clumsy. So clumsy." "Yeah," Logan muttered, buttoning his pants. "I noticed, considering I'm now in my underwear, in front of half the staff." The room was dead silent, except for the muffled snort of someone trying not to laugh. Ava's entire face turned crimson. She raised her coffee like it was a shield. "I'll just go." But Logan stepped closer, eyes narrowed, voice laced with sarcasm. "Let me get this straight. You walk into the lounge, rip my pants off in front of 20 people, and you think you're just walking away with a coffee, and am I bad? I'm Ava Brooks, Dr. Clark's new intern. I was just causing a PR disaster." Logan cut in. "You're like an earthquake with an ID badge." The room held its collective breath. Then someone laughed. Loudly. Ava looked at Logan, horrified. "I'll clean the rug. I'll buy you new pants. I have $18 in my account." "Oh, great. Guess I'll swing by a flea market before my gala event," Logan said with a dramatic wave. Ava turned to flee, only to trip on the exact same cursed rug corner. She caught herself this time barely. Logan crossed his arms, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Welcome to the firm, Brooks. You managed in 2 minutes what no one else could do in 2 years. Leave me speechless and nearly pantsless." Ava covered her face. "I'm going to resign." "I saw your underwear," she added, voice muffled. "I can't live with that." Logan, now actually laughing, shook his head. "Relax. The underwear survived. My pride not so much." And in that moment, surrounded by snickers and sideways glances, Ava realized 2 things. 1, she had absolutely no idea how she was still alive. 2, this was either the worst internship in company history, or the start of something so insane she'd never forget it. The next morning, Ava tiptoed into the office like a criminal sneaking back to the scene of the crime. She kept her head down, folder clutched like a shield, walking as if she could disappear into the walls. But the universe had other plans. From down the hall came a voice she recognized instantly. "Well, well, look who's back, the pant slayer." Ava winced. Logan Hayes. Of course. She pretended not to hear and picked up her pace, but his stride was faster. "Hey, hold it, intern," he called, catching up to her, that familiar smirk already forming. Ava turned, clutching her ID badge like a lifeline. "Run from you? Never. I'm just focused." Logan tilted his head slightly. "Focused, huh? Careful not to focus so hard that you rip someone's jacket today." "Ha ha," she replied, eyes rolling. "Don't worry, Brooks," Logan said with faux reassurance, tapping his chin. "I brought a backup pair of pants. Might even invest in suspenders." Before she could respond, Ethan Clark, her supervisor and Logan's longtime colleague, appeared with a stack of files and an amused look. "Careful, Ava," Ethan said, grinning. "Rumor has it, when Logan's pants hit the ground, so did his ego." Ava couldn't help it. She burst out laughing. Logan raised a brow, pretending to be offended. "Very funny, Clark. Very." Turning back to Ava, Logan added, "See, I'm the victim here." Ava smirked, adjusting the papers in her hands. "Want me to start a GoFundMe for stronger belts? Maybe some caution, carpet hazard cones." "Oh, excellent," Logan replied. "Now she's got jokes." Ethan shook his head. "My goodness, you two are like a live sitcom." "Incorrect," Logan said. "I'm the victim. She's the chaos bringer." Ava put her hands on her hips. "Me? I'm a breeze." "A breeze?" Logan scoffed. "You've got the subtlety of a hurricane." They stood there for a moment, eye to eye, like two boxers before the first punch, until Ethan slid between them with a chuckle, clapping them both on the shoulder. "All right, before this turns into a roast battle, let's actually do some work." As he walked off, he muttered, "And maybe don't use the word tear around Logan for a while." Logan was already heading down the hall, but he turned with one last glance. "Careful, Ava. I've got my eye on you. Rugs, chairs, ties, everything's a risk." Without missing a beat, she shot back. "Perfect. And I'll be watching too, especially the seams on your pants." His smirk widened. For a split second, something more passed between them, something neither of them was ready to admit. Ava turned to follow Ethan into the office, but not before whispering, "Seriously, is this normal? Is he always like this?" Ethan laughed. "With everyone? No, only with someone who makes him lose control." She blinked. "Me? Oh yeah." Ethan grinned. "You're like a storm he never saw coming." And as Ava sat down at her desk, the chaos of the day resumed. Phones ringing, papers flying, lawyers arguing. But in the middle of it all, she couldn't help but smile. Because somehow, she wasn't just surviving this internship. She was making an unforgettable impression. The office buzzed with tension that morning. Phones rang nonstop. Footsteps echoed like a drumline down the hall. Even the coffee smelled stressed. Ava straightened the papers on Ethan's desk, her eyes catching the furrow in his brow. "Did something happen?" she asked, frowning. Ethan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Oh, something happened, all right. The office is on metaphorical fire." Before she could press further, the glass doors to the conference room burst open. Logan Hayes walked in, suit impeccable, jaw tight. "This is ridiculous," he snapped, pacing. "I've worked with this client for 5 years, and now they're dropping me? Why?" Right behind him came Mr. Whitaker, the firm's managing partner. If anyone could silence a room with a single sentence, it was him. "Logan," he said, calm but cold. The client doesn't want you on the case anymore. Logan froze mid-step. That's impossible. I know the contract better than anyone. And yet, Mr. Whitaker said, crossing his arms, you missed a key clause, one that cost their trust. Ava and Ethan exchanged wide-eyed glances. This sounds serious, she whispered. That's because it is, he replied. Whitaker's voice cut through the room like a blade. The client requested someone new. Ethan, you're taking over. Effective immediately. Ethan blinked, stunned. Sir, are you sure? Positive. Assemble your own team. Logan stood silent, fists clenched at his sides. Ava could feel the heat radiating off him like a furnace. Mr. Whitaker nodded once and walked out, leaving the air thick with shock. After a long beat, Logan turned around, and there stood Ava, folder in hand, caught mid-step like a deer in headlights. No, he muttered, shaking his head. This is not happening. Ethan, trying to keep the moment light, patted her shoulder. Oh, it's happening. You're officially on the team now, Ava. She blinked. Me? Really? Really? Ethan said. I need someone organized, fast, and unafraid to handle pressure. You're it. Logan scoffed. Of course. Let's put the intern who pulled my pants down on the most sensitive legal case we have. Ava stepped forward, blazer perfectly in place. Don't worry. The only thing I plan to bring down now are opposing arguments. Ethan chuckled. That's the spirit. Logan ran a hand over his face. This is insane. I've worked this case for months. You think you can just swoop in and fix everything? Ethan remained calm. Actually, yes. That's exactly what we're going to do. Ava couldn't help the smug smile that tugged at her lips. Watching Logan squirm just a little, kinda satisfying. Oh, and Logan, Ethan added, the client requested your name be removed from anything related to the project. Logan's jaw tightened. Wonderful. He turned to Ava. He pointed from her to Ethan. This won't end well. She didn't flinch. Funny. To me, it looks like it's already off to a great start. Logan blinked. For once, he had no comeback. He straightened his tie, trying to pretend he still had control. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have more productive things to do than watch this circus burn. He stormed out, but just before the door closed behind him, he turned back with one final jab. Try not to trip over your own ego in turn. Without skipping a beat, Ava shot back. And you try not to pop another button. Ethan collapsed into his chair, half laughing, half stunned. Oh, this is going to be fun. And none of them knew it yet, but this case wouldn't just change the direction of the firm. It would change everything. Ava sat in Ethan's office, staring at the mountain of contracts like it was a puzzle box from a spy movie. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear and asked, Okay, where do I even start? Ethan leaned back, rubbing his temples. This is the acquisition process for a luxury hotel chain. It's a monster. One wrong word, and we could cost the client millions. Ava nodded, already flipping through documents. Ethan smiled, impressed. You don't have to figure everything out in a day, you know. But Ava wasn't listening. She was already deep in a sea of clauses, numbers, and signatures. She scribbled notes, highlighted terms, double-checked references. An hour passed. Then two. Suddenly, she sat up straight. Wait, she whispered, reaching for another sheet. Her eyes darted between two contracts. She flipped a page, backtracked, reread, then grabbed a highlighter and circled something in bold. Ethan. He looked up, noticing her intensity. Tell me something. This acquisition contract is tied to the franchise agreement, right? Correct, he said slowly, walking over. Then this clause here, she pointed, completely contradicts the original franchise terms. Ethan's brow furrowed. That can't be right. She grabbed another document, comparing signatures and dates. If this goes to court, the exclusivity rights fall apart. The client could lose the whole deal. Ethan took a deep breath, grabbed a chair, and sat beside her. Ava, this is a major catch. How major? She asked. Like reputation shattering, lawsuit triggering, black hole of mistakes kind of major. They both stared at the papers. We need to rework the entire agreement, he said, already typing on his laptop. You, he added, turning to her with awe in his voice, just saved this case. Ava blinked. Seriously, she grinned. So, promotion? Salary bump? Office with a view? Ethan laughed. Slowed down, superstar. But honestly, the real shock? Logan didn't catch it. Maybe, she shrugged, because he was too busy worrying about his pants. They both burst into laughter. Hours later, the conference room buzzed with tension as the firm gathered for the updated meeting. The client, a sharply dressed man named Mr. Thornton, sat at the head of the table, flanked by his assistants. Logan stood silently against the far wall, arms crossed, jaw locked. Mr. Whitaker opened the meeting. Michael, Ava, the floor is yours. Ethan rose. After reviewing the documents, Ava found a clause that would have compromised the client's exclusivity rights. All eyes turned to Ava. She stood, walked to the projector, and said clearly, the franchise agreement contradicts the acquisition contract. That contradiction could have opened the door for legal challenges. Mr. Thornton's eyes widened. You're telling me this error's been there from the beginning? Yes, Ava replied, and if not corrected, it could have triggered lawsuits and a massive loss in value. Silence. Then Mr. Thornton leaned forward. Did you fix it? We did, Ethan answered, handing him the revised files. All protections added, the exclusivity secured. Mr. Thornton flipped through the pages. His frown softened. Then, finally, he smiled. Impressive, he said. Truly. This is outstanding work. Whitaker beamed. That's what we do. Mr. Thornton stood and shook Ethan's hand. Then he turned to Ava. And you, he said. You're an intern? She nodded, blushing. For now. He chuckled. Well, if you keep this up, you'll be running the firm soon. Logan, still in the corner, exhaled hard. A mix of admiration and something else crossed his face. Something he wasn't used to feeling. Respect. Whitaker ended the meeting with a satisfied nod. This is the kind of result we fight for. As people filed out, Logan approached Ava slowly. Congratulations, he said quietly. You want my diploma now or later? Ava smiled, arms crossed. I'll take it, and maybe I'll teach you how to not lose million-dollar lawsuits. He blinked. Wow, you're unbelievable, she offered. Yeah, he admitted. That. Ethan walked by, coffee in hand. Logan, my friend, I think you just met your kryptonite. Logan chuckled. I still honor. Yeah, and her name is Ava. The next few days passed in a whirlwind of meetings, revisions, and late-night emails. But Ava noticed something odd. Every time she turned a corner, Logan seemed to be there. Sometimes it was a coincidental coffee refill. Sometimes he just needed something from the copy room. And sometimes it was nothing more than him strolling by, hands in pockets, saying, just making sure you haven't tripped over anything dangerous, like gravity. But that morning, things felt different. Urgent footsteps echoed down the hall. Phones rang nonstop. Even the coffee machine made anxious gurgles. Ava walked briskly toward the elevator, balancing a tower of folders and, of course, a cup of coffee. Ethan called from his office doorway. Take those contracts to 16th floor fast. But Ava, be careful with the coffee. Elevators. Gravity. Got it. She cut in. She hit the button. The elevator dinged. And standing inside, like a character placed by fate itself, was Logan Hayes. Impeccable suit. That infuriating half-smile. Well, well, he said as she stepped in. The contract slayer returns with coffee. She glanced at him. Some say I'm a brave warrior. Others just call me a walking hazard. I'd say both, Logan replied, folding his arms. Where you off to? Saving the world, or at least our hotel chain client. The elevator hummed as it began its ascent. Then, a flicker, a clunk. The lights dimmed. The elevator jolted to a stop between floors. The control panel? Dead. Ava blinked. No. No, no, no. This isn't happening. She jabbed the buttons. Nothing. Come on, work. Logan picked up the emergency phone. Static. Then a voice. Electrical failure. Maintenance is on the way. Could be a few minutes. He sighed. Perfect. Ava leaned against the wall, staring at the ceiling. Okay, it's fine. This'll be quick. Logan adjusted his tie. Sure, unless it's like that time I was stuck for 2 hours. She spun toward him. You're joking. Maybe, he said with a wink. Maybe not. She exhaled dramatically, slid down the wall, and crossed her legs. Great. Trapped in a box with you. Hey, he said, mock-offended. I'm excellent company. She raised an eyebrow. That's debatable. He leaned against the railing, watching her. You know what's funny? What? She replied, picking lint off her blazer. You're the only person in this office who doesn't back down from me. She blinked. You're the only person who makes me nervous and laugh at the same time. He smiled. See, told you I was great company. They sat in a charged silence. Not awkward. Not forced. Just full of things unsaid. Logan looked up. I'm not really like this. Like what? She asked. He rubbed his hands together. This guy, the one who pretends to have everything under control. Why are you like that? He sighed. My dad. Grew up hearing that weakness meant failure. That if you weren't the best, you were nothing. So I became this. Ava studied him. You know that's not real living, right? He let out a short, dry laugh. Yeah, I'm starting to figure that out. She tilted her head, smiling gently. Behind the suit and the ego, there's actually a decent guy. Interesting, he said, smirking. You find me decent now. Annoyingly decent. He slid down to sit beside her. And you, in turn, you're more than I expected. Their eyes met. The elevator faded away. The office. The chaos. Just them. The space between them narrowed, slowly. Carefully. Then, jolt. The lights flickered. The elevator moved again. Ding. The doors opened. They jumped up, straightening themselves like teenagers caught by their parents. Security stood there, puzzled. Everything okay? Yep, they said in unison, nearly tripping over each other. They walked out without making eye contact, but they both knew something had shifted. A few days after the infamous elevator incident, things at the firm were weird, not in a bad way, just different. People smiled knowingly when Ava walked by. The receptionist gave her a thumbs up every morning. And every time Logan entered a room she was in, someone would whisper, "There he goes." It didn't help that Logan had started appearing in the most unexpected places. "Why are you in file room?" Ava asked, arms crossed. Logan shrugged. "Passing through. With a broken printer part in your hand?" "I was helping. You don't know how to fix printers." I do now. That's when Ethan walked in, took one look at Logan crouched beside the machine, and muttered, "What in the name of office sitcoms is happening here?" "I'm just seeing if she needs anything," Logan said defensively. "Uh-huh," Ethan replied, pretending to write on his phone, starting a spreadsheet. Logan's sudden appearances. Column 1, frequency. Column 2, motives. Ava crouched, opened the side panel, and with 2 quick moves, fixed the jammed toner. The printer whirred back to life. "Done," she said, standing tall. Logan blinked. "That's it. No complicated button code." "Nope. Just a little logic." Ethan clapped. Applause for Ava, and a polite nod for Logan's moral support. Logan dusted off his hands. "I'm feeling extremely useful." As Ava gathered the printed files, Logan glanced at her and said, I wasn't jealous, by the way." Ethan blinked. Nobody said anything about jealousy. Ava tried not to laugh. "Yeah, no one brought it up." Logan groaned, running a hand over his face. "Forget it. This didn't happen." "Oh, it happened," Ethan said with a smirk, "and I'm mentally recording every second." Logan straightened his tie with exaggerated dignity. "Well, this has been charming, but I have incredibly important tasks to attend to. Like checking if Ava needs anything." Ethan teased. Logan paused, glanced sideways at Ava, who was very obviously trying not to smile, and left. Ava stared after him and muttered, "He's not even trying to hide it anymore, is he?" "Nope," Ethan said, "and honestly, it's kind of adorable." Later that week, the buzz in the office grew louder than ever. Something was definitely happening. In the main conference room, Mr. Whitaker prepared the quarterly performance presentation. Charts flashed across the screen. Names, stats, and then a slide appeared. Employee of the month, Ava Brooks, intern. Logan, seated at the far end of the table, visibly froze. Ethan leaned over, whispering, "This isn't normal." Logan replied, eyes fixed on the screen, "Nope, but it's definitely deserved." Whitaker stood. "This quarter was our best yet, despite setbacks. But one name rose above the rest. Someone who showed initiative, precision, and handled legal disasters with the calm of a seasoned partner." Ava tried to shrink in her seat. Whitaker smiled. "Ava Brooks, please stand." The room erupted in applause. Logan clapped, slowly at first, then with genuine pride. Ethan leaned in. "Nailed it." Logan said nothing, but his look said everything. When the meeting ended, Ava barely made it out the door before people swarmed her. "Jokes. Congratulations." Someone shouted. "Okay, but does this come with a raise and a bodyguard?" She laughed, overwhelmed. Then Logan appeared. "Of course." He stepped right up to her and said, "All right, I think it's time to make this official." She blinked. "Make what official?" "I want you on my team. Directly. Full salary. Full responsibilities." Behind him, Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Stealing talent in broad daylight haze." Logan grinned. "I call it strategic reallocation." Ava clutched her folder. "You guys, this is surreal." Ethan stepped closer. "Careful, Ava. He's trying to steal your brilliance, or maybe your heart." The entire hallway burst into giggles. Logan looked around and deadpanned. "Okay, since everyone's already eavesdropping, yes, I'm officially making an offer. Join my team." Ava glanced between the two men. "Is this some kind of auction now?" "If it is," Ethan said, "I'm adding an ergonomic chair to my bid." "Mine has a massage function," Logan shot back. The office howled with laughter. Ava shook her head, barely containing her smile. "You two are ridiculous." Logan crossed his arms, stepping closer. But seriously, Ava, I want you on my team. You're sharp, fast, fearless. Tempting, she replied, but I think I'll stay with Ethan for now. Figures, Logan sighed. You enjoy torturing me. Just a little. And as she walked off, both men stood there, one smirking, the other grinning like he'd just lost a battle, and maybe something more. But deep down, both knew this wasn't just work anymore. The courtroom hallway was filled with tension. Lawyers shuffled past in polished shoes. Clients whispered nervously. The scent of paper, perfume, and pressure lingered in the air. Ava adjusted her blazer for the third time and clutched the thick case, folded to her chest, like it might float away. Beside her, Logan walked with steady strides, adjusting his tie with robotic precision. Nervous? He asked, not looking at her. Me? She cleared her throat, just slightly panicking on the inside. Logan cracked a rare, genuine smile. Good. That makes two of us. They walked into the courtroom, the judge already seated, the opposing counsel already glancing their way. Ava exhaled, game face on. As proceedings began, Logan delivered the opening argument, precise, calm, and commanding. Ava followed with documentation support, her research airtight. Together, they fired back at objections, deconstructed opposing claims, and filled the courtroom with the sound of legal elegance. And then it happened. As Logan stepped forward to hand a document to the judge, he tripped on his own shoelace. A very expensive chair skidded. A nearby table wobbled. The judge blinked as Logan caught himself, barely missing the bench. There was a pause. A collective breath held. Logan straightened, cleared his throat, and said, "Just testing the structural integrity of courtroom furniture, Your Honor." Ava bit her lip, so hard she almost drew blood. The judge adjusted his glasses and replied, "Very well. Proceed carefully." 3 hours later, with sweat-dampened suits and exhausted smiles, the judge finally spoke the words they'd waited for. This court rules in favor of the defense. Case dismissed. A ripple of reaction. Ava and Logan turned to each other, and without even thinking, fist bump. Small, satisfying, and enough to say everything. As they walked down the courthouse steps, Ava turned toward him. "I can't believe we won." Logan nodded. "I can. You were brilliant in there." They stopped near the marble column. The buzz of traffic floated in the air. Ava turned to him, heart still racing. And then Logan said it. "Ava, I'm done waiting." She blinked. Waiting for what? But before she could finish, he stepped closer, cupped her waist, and kissed her. Right there, in front of the courthouse, in front of half the office, a few shocked assistants, and definitely Ethan, hiding behind a column. "I knew it." Ethan whispered into his phone, clearly recording everything. Gasps, laughter, applause. But Ava didn't hear any of it, because in that kiss, there were no offices, no courtrooms, no cases, just them, and all the built-up teasing, arguing, and tension that finally found its answer. When they pulled apart, breathless, flushed, Ava looked up and whispered, "Wow." Logan grinned. "Yeah, that was overdue." Ethan appeared, still filming. "Okay, someone hand me a tissue. This is better than my favorite rom-com." Logan turned to Ava. "Best case win of my life." She smiled, reaching for his hand. "And the only contract I don't ever want to terminate." After the most talked-about kiss in the firm's history, and probably courthouse history, Ava and Logan's lives didn't exactly return to normal. Then again, normal had never really been their style. The following Monday, Ava walked into the office and found a sign taped to the break room door. "Attention. It is now strictly forbidden to root against this couple. Management, or at least the gossip team. She rolled her eyes, smiling. And of course, inside the break room, there he was, Logan Hayes, perfectly dressed, perfectly smug, holding 2 coffees. "Morning, intern," he greeted. She crossed her arms. "Morning, counselor. Don't you think I deserve a new nickname by now?" He grinned. "How about future Mrs. Hayes?" She nearly dropped her coffee. "Easy there," she teased. "Getting a little ahead of yourself, aren't you?" "Maybe," he replied with a shrug. "But I'm serious." That afternoon, as the office buzzed with legal briefs and corporate emails, Logan stepped into Ava's workspace, holding a familiar folder. "Got a contract I need you to review," he said. She raised an eyebrow. "We finished all the contracts. This one's special." Curious, she opened it. Inside was a single page on firm letterhead titled, "Lifetime Partnership Agreement, Irrevocable and Caffeine-Based." She read aloud. Clause 1. Ava Brooks and Logan Hayes agree to a partnership based on trust, laughter, fierce debate, and shared coffee. Clause 2. Logan Hayes agrees to provide hugs, support, morning espresso, and Friday night pizza, even when he really wants all the slices. Clause 3. Ava Brooks agrees to continue being the whirlwind that made Logan's carefully organized life so much better. She looked up, speechless. Then Logan opened the second flap of the folder, revealing a small black ring box. He dropped to one knee, right there in the middle of the office, surrounded by whispers and wide eyes. "Ava Brooks," he said, voice steady, "will you be my partner, in and out of court, for the rest of our lives?" The entire office froze. Ethan appeared around the corner and whispered, "Called it." Again, Ava covered her mouth, tears in her eyes, and nodded. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." The team erupted in applause. "Cheers." Someone popped sparkling water and shouted, "Get the fancy mugs. They're engaged." And when Logan slid the ring on her finger, he leaned in and whispered, "This is the only contract I never want to revise." The wedding. The ceremony was simple but elegant. A garden, white flowers, gold accents. A sign at the entrance read, "Welcome to the most important contract of Ava and Logan's lives." Ethan officiated naturally. "Ava," he said, grinning, "you've survived torn pants, broken printers, spilled coffee, and elevator standstills, so I guess you're ready for marriage." Everyone laughed. Logan took Ava's hands and said softly, "You walked into my life and flipped everything upside down, and I've never been happier to lose control. I love you." Ava smiled, blinking back tears. "And you were the arrogant lawyer I swore I couldn't stand. And now, I can't imagine a day without you." They said I do. They kissed, and as the guests applauded, the DJ played their first dance song. Beside every centerpiece, mini espresso machines. A sign beside them read, "Official wedding toast, coffee plus love equals forever." Back at the office, life went on. Well, mostly. Logan still showed up at Ava's desk, pretending he needed help with urgent tasks like figuring out the break room microwave. Ava still rolled her eyes, fixed the microwave, and kissed him before heading back to work. Their desks stayed side by side. Their arguments stayed spicy, and the coffee stayed strong. One day, as they reviewed a new client contract together, Logan paused mid-sentence and looked at her. "What?" she asked. He smiled. "Nothing. Just thinking. I've never lost so many arguments and still felt like I was winning." She smirked. "That's because, counselor, you are." And somewhere between spilled lattes, courtroom drama, and contract negotiations, they built a life neither of them saw coming. A love written in ink, bound by laughter, and sealed with a cup of coffee.